How many of you guys seal? Okay, plenty of you guys. Okay, there's probably a lot of you guys don't like to seal because you're creating maintenance or you've had problems in the past, but it's all really good successful sealing is in the preparation. Okay, so a few days ago we cleaned these pavers. I don't know if you can see them sparkling here and there. Pavers have pores just like our skin. Most women in the house don't put makeup on a dirty face, right? Even though these pavers are brand new, we still recommend cleaning them. It's kind of like an etch, like you take your car to get painted, right? What do? They prep it, right? They don't just paint it over an old paint, or they don't paint over something that's dirty. So even though they're brand new, they've been through construction. So these pavers have pores. In order for sealer to actually penetrate and grab, the paver substrate needs to have open pores so it can allow the sealer to absorb. The other thing most commonly that you have issues with is temperature. Right? You don't want to seal something when it's going to be super hot or the surface is hot. So let's just say right now it's 90 degrees. How hot is this? How hot are these pavers? Right? So you want to avoid all that. So once the sealer hits the surface, it's going to evaporate. In some cases, depending on the type of sealer you got, it's going to turn white. Okay? So always check your temperature. You don't want to seal in the 90s. You want to stay below that. Now, if it's going to be in the 90s later that day, I know Vegas is tough, but I would say starting at 4 or 5 in the morning, okay? When the temperature of the paver is much more cooler. Or if not, actually, it's a seasonal business. Maybe it's in the summer, you don't want to do that out here. You just come back to Mrs. Jones, tell her, hey, I'm going to come back and I'm going to clean and seal your pavers later on. Okay, so these were already cleaned, and once we get to that section, we're going to discuss the type of cleaners we use. Like today, I had to shift some things around just because of weather, and obviously we're gonna need room to stand. So later on, we're gonna be able to walk on this once it dries. So the first product that we're gonna use is a product called Natural Look. Okay, so for those homeowners that say, hey, I don't want to seal because I don't want to have to seal all the time. All right, so this sealer right here, honestly, is a wonderful sealer. If your jobs look like this, they are going to continue looking like this once this product dries. So this is a water-based Natural Look, non-film forming. So this is not going to leave any type of film on the surface whatsoever. So basically, the way you see it is the way it's going to dry. Just like that, it's just going to give you a oil repellency. Okay, so this one is a very easy one to use. I mean, this one you really can't, I hate to use the word mess it up, because you can't. So this one, you notice we have some shields over there. So this one can be sprayed on vertical. This one could be sprayed on concrete. This one right here could be used pretty much in everything that will absorb it, except for porcelain. You cannot seal porcelain. So this sealer right here, like I said, it's a water-based, it's a penetrating sealer, but it does not stabilize sand. So if you guys are not using polymeric sand, this will not stabilize the sand. That's the sand's job, okay? So in this job, you're gonna see we have polymeric sand. Look at how big these joints are. How many of you guys use polymeric sand, by the way? Awesome. And if you guys are not, hopefully after today, you'll understand the reason why I totally recommend polymeric sand. So while I'm here, see this big old joint right here? So most contractors that don't use polymeric sand will fill that up with regular sand, right? What happens when Mrs. Jones comes out and rinses her deck down? That sand is gone, right? And then the pavers start doing what? They start moving, they start creeping. I know I'm going off topic here, but it's just a great, I just want to really talk about what types of sealers will also stabilize and what types of sealers do not stabilize. So this one right here is a non-film forming type of sealer. Once it goes on and it dries, it's immediately, you're not going to tell it's there, but it's going to, when you start throwing water on it, you're going to see how it beads, and I'll show you guys a little bit later today. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do a couple areas, and then I'm going to let someone finish it, and then we're going to move on to the rest. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to seal this. We're going to seal pretty much everything that's here except for those two sections over there. Those two sections, we're going to do a different type of sealer that's going to actually enhance it, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, obviously, water-based could be sprayed in any type of pump sprayer. Yeah. So realistically, and I don't really care about it getting on the walls. I hate to say that attitude about it, but really it's not going to change the look of the walls. In fact, I could seal the walls if I really want to. So I'm just going to start spraying until I start seeing it kind of settle on the surface, because the paver is only going to absorb so much. And notice how my colleague over here has a paint roller. we're not gonna roll it on. It's more for textured pavers because sealer tends to puddle in the low spots, and you don't want to just leave it there. You want to pull the excess off. So I'll show you guys here in a minute about what we're going to use about that, okay? Well, you can start seeing it puddling because you're right. The paver is going to absorb as much, and that's the reason why you want it clean, because so that way it absorbs it all.
So once it starts puddling, that's time to move on, right?
Pretty much, because it's going to absorb some of it, and then we can back roll the excess off. And that's really more, I would say, more technical when you got pavers that are textured, because that sealer tends to pull in those low spots, okay? So like, see these textured pavers right here? You can see it's all puddled. Now, if you're using, like this sealer is so friendly, it's so easy, but if you're using like those types of sealers, enhancing type sealers, and you just let that sealer puddle, it's gonna give you dark spots. How many of you guys seen that? Okay, so you want to eliminate that. That's why, you know, back rolling on a flat surface for something like that, you can leave that alone. That's going to absorb it all. So this sealer, again, is very, very user friendly. So what we'll do is we'll let someone else, we'll go on to the next section. For the next step, we're going to talk about a product called WL87. Okay, so notice this is in a metal can. Okay, so this is a solvent-based sealer. Okay. So this is one of our newest sealers. So basically it's a wet look, but a gloss finish. Normally when you hear the word wet look, it's like super shiny, right? This one's not that super shiny wet look. So this is basically a 3-in-1. We call them 3-in-1, okay? It's gonna enhance the paver. It's gonna stabilize the sand in the joints, even though you don't need it because it's got polymeric sand. And it's also gonna give you stain protection, okay? This is a unique sealer because it is, it's a wet look. It gives it a very good vibrant color, but with a minimal sheen, okay? So for me, it's one of my favorites in terms of solvent, because most solvent sealers are super shiny. This one's not super shiny. And then obviously the benefits of water-based sealers can be installed with any type of pump, right? Where solvent-based sealers, just think of it this way. If it comes in a metal can like this, it should be sprayed in a metal can like this. So an acetone-resistant can. Okay, so you do not want to put this into a plastic container like this, because solvent will melt the O-rings and all that. Okay, so hopefully if you've been doing that, hopefully you learned that you want to avoid spraying this in a plastic. So if it comes in a metal can, spray it out of a metal can. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start spraying this one. So who could be my shield? Because really what we're trying to do is we're trying to avoid spraying the border. We're trying to avoid spraying the border. I'm gonna need another body here. We're trying to eliminate spraying the borders, okay, just so we can enhance only the colors, okay? We're gonna try to do our best we can. So think about this. So now this sealer right here is an enhancing sealer, okay? So treat it like you're painting somebody's house. Okay, you want to make sure, I don't like doing that masking with tape because tape bleeds. So these shields are probably your best against homeowner stuccos. Now, unless you're doing a sealer like that, I mean, it's fine. I mean, you could spray whatever, overspray, it's not going to show, it's not going to do nothing. But something like this, you definitely want to basically plan ahead, like again, like you're painting, right? So think about painting, shield your areas, cut or whatever you want to do. Some people seal like cutting, like you know how they cut painting, so you can do that as well. So here we go. All right. Nope.
Hold on.
And the benefit of using solvent, guys, if there is an error, you can actually remulsify it with xylene. Yeah. Okay, so those are some of the benefits of using a solvent-based sealer.
Good job, guys. That's awesome. There you go.
Push your end down.
I love this.
So normally I'd try to back roll this one too, because these are textured.
So we want to back roll when you have a textured paver where you have some puddles, right?
Yes.
Get those puddles sucked up.
Yes.
So it's not going to be a nice.
So hand me that roller. All right, so gonna just pull some of this excess off, but see how it's already like sticky already? So you gotta do it pretty quickly. This is all you, again, really more, it's more critical on your textured pavers.
So we should probably have 2 guys, one guy on the sprayer, one guy on this, maybe 3 guys, one guy on the shields, right?
Yep. See how much more level that is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See that, guys?
Like right here too.
And guys, as he was mentioning, this textured paver, it's one of our newer Belgard pavers. It's called Origins. You may have known Avalon Slate, but Origins is a little bit more subdued texture. So it's still there, but it's not very pronounced. But it offers the customer something in the event that they don't want something smooth or flat. We know that the going trends, about 80 to 90% of the time, people want smooth, flat pavers, but we have this one as a textured paver offering, and we offer it in the dimensions 6-inch small, dimensions 12-inch medium, and dimensions 18-inch large, which is this one right here. You may have known of a paver we had in the past, Lafitte Rustic Slab. It was like that, but now this is 60 millimeter instead of 50 millimeter. And again, it offers a texture that's a little bit more flattened out, but it's still on there. And aside from anything that's really smooth, you're standing on a couple other new ones that are over here called Papyrus. So they have a little bit of a kind of a scripted type of a paper look on top that gives it really cool character. So that's technically a textured paver as well.
So the next sealer that we're gonna do is called Color Boost Plus. So this is a water-based sealer. So if you like that look, but without the shine, that's what this is gonna give you. So this is a penetrating type sealer. Those are what we call film forming sealer. So anything that leaves a film on the surface, those are gonna wear sort of unevenly. And these are gonna wear more, I would say more evenly, because this is not what we call a film. So this is a penetrating sealer. So basically it's the bigger brother. I call it the bigger brother, the other one over there. That one's a natural look penetrating sealer. This is an enhancing penetrating sealer. If most of you guys don't know, there is no mixing with sealers. They're already ready to go. The only thing that we recommend other than solvent is when you get your can of sealer, if it's a water-based sealer, you wanna make sure you shake it up. Very similar to, how many of you guys bought paint before? Right? What do they do to that paint can? They shake it up, okay? So you could do 2 things. You can shake it up really well, or you can actually put a paddle in there to mix up your sealer. Okay, you're gonna maximize your best result, get some of that solids all mixed into the blend. So you're not gonna have to worry about that with solvent, because you can't shake up solvent, because solvent will like expand, right? So, so this is a water-based sealer. Like I said, it is it's an enhancing sealer. It's gonna have no sheen at all. So who are my shielders? So as soon as the surface area sort of turns white, that's pretty much enough sealer of this, okay? Yeah, this obviously looks a little bit more complicated because we're being more precise in one small section.
Normally you don't need a shield, but we're just doing it for the purpose of presentation. We're trying not to hit the walls. You got an open area of an installation. You can go, you know, all out with your sealing and your spraying. But again, if you do have walls and you're close by and they don't want any enhancement on those, you got to do something to protect it. And also, we also recommend check your forecast. If it gets a little too windy, don't seal, because it'll just start blowing everywhere. So probably anything over 10 miles an hour, you want to be careful.
Again, this is more, I would say, more critical when you got textured pavers, but it's good just to knock down the excess off, roll it back. And again, you're not doing this. All you're doing is just pulling it off. Pulling it off. Okay, that's it. All we're doing is flatten it out. Well, yeah, it was pretty much one good flood coat. I mean, you could do 2 light coats, wet on wet, but generally I try to get it all in one. Okay, so you can actually, depends on your sprayer, the volume, right? You do 1 light fan coat, just like when you roll paint, right? That first one's kind of primer, and then the second one. So that's really it. I mean, you'll tell once, like this one, so you start seeing the surface turn white, that's all you really need. Now, if you're using sealers to like stabilize your sand, there's other techniques, but me totally, I would rather you use a sealer more for aesthetics or for protection as opposed to joint stabilization, because you're going to be using polymeric sand. Okay, any questions on the sealer part? Nope. Okay, so see, this one has literally no sheen, but it gives you that rich color, right? So the reason why I'm showing you, you have three options here. You have to offer your customer something that doesn't change the look of the paver, because at the end of the day, you want to try to sell sealer. It doesn't change the look of the paver. And more importantly, how many of you guys sell tumbled pavers? Tumbled pavers, right? So, so if you guys sell a rustic or tumbled paver and you put something like this on there, it's gonna take away the rusticness of the paver, what they paid for. So in that instance, I would use something like that, the IN, because it's gonna keep it looking natural, okay? So these two, this one, all three of these are probably my best sealers for this market, okay? But if you just don't want to set the expectation for a homeowner, I would go with that one. But just remember, that sealer right there does not hide any flaws, okay? So it just, if you want to sell sealer and you want to get into sealer, that would probably be the best one to get involved. And if you want to enhance, this would be the next one. Guys, so this was sealed about 20 minutes ago. I just want to show you guys the difference between sealed and non-sealed by just putting a water bead drop, okay? So that's just 20 minutes of installation. So let's go to a paver that wasn't sealed, okay? So I can show you the difference, okay? We see that? Okay, so let's go to a paver that hasn't been sealed.
This may have been sealed.
See, look at automatically how dark it gets, right? There is no beading at all. See that? See the difference there?
This product right here is a new Belgard product called DuraFusion. It's a form of a face mix on the surface. It has a tighter texture, okay? Things will probably take a little longer to dry on that anyway. And this is traditional Belgard core mix product, where you see the aggregate on top a little bit more. You don't see any aggregate on this product right here at all, okay? So we go through a different process to make this, but even with the more porous material right here, the sealer beads up, and over there, same type of product, it goes through naturally because it's not sealed. But.
So if you want to sell this sealer, I recommend showing your client, right? Non-sealed, sealed. Because you got to make sure you tell your client, because no matter what, when people think you're sealing their pavers and it doesn't change the look of the paver, they're going to say, hey, I thought you sealed my pavers. So make sure, because once this is on, I can't put something like that on top of it, okay? So make sure that if you're gonna sell this sealer, that she understands it's not gonna change the look of the paver, okay? Because once you put this on, you can't just say, oh man, I'm gonna go ahead and try that now. No bueno. This is a great sealer to sell for entry, to try to gain, again, in my opinion, it's very simple to use, but it's all in the preparation.
And if we were using oil, same thing would happen. Now, that doesn't mean that everything is indestructible or not penetrable. If you leave that oil on there long enough, it'll eventually start to go through, but it buys them a lot of time to get it off, okay? And then the last thing I'll add to what Felix was saying about natural look and why I like it so much is, think about it this way. They're paying a lot of money to get their backyard hardscaped and landscaped, and it's an investment. So if they can protect their surface to elongate the color and to also protect it from any staining, that's a way of saying, hey, you know, we'd like to offer you the opportunity to seal it to protect your investment. It's a great way to approach it from that sales standpoint, and not just trying to, you know, maybe sell it as just a sealer, sell it as a protecting their investments.
Yeah, so obviously if you guys don't know about this, I don't really recommend sealing immediately, because the pavers could be made last week and they're still sweating, all right? So where I'm going with this, so if your cleaning and sealing is tying up money, make sure that that's a separate line item, because you may have to come back in a couple weeks to clean and seal, okay? Because a paver, the first thing you don't want to do is seal something that's fresh, right? It's still sweating, right? So in order to know that, when you get your pavers, there's born dates on them. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. They have born dates on the actual paver. They have a date. So that date tells you when the pavers are made. So typically we like to see a paver being sealed after 30 days, okay? But we don't know when that paver was made. So we recommend roughly 30 days. So let's just say you did a poly sand today, and then you come back 2 weeks later, and then you clean it, and then you seal, okay? So if you can kind of give yourself a week to 2 weeks, again, it depends on the cure date of the paver, okay? But you always want to clean your pavers first. So you always want to charge for cleaning and sealing. And it doesn't matter if the pavers are brand new. They've been in somebody's yard. They've been on a job site. They've got road-based dust. They got cut dust, okay? Pavers have pores. Common question I get with this is like, well, when do I got to seal it again? Good question. So honestly, that's really entirely up to you guys because you're not changing the look of the paver, so you're not setting the expectation, right? So obviously, when you change the look of that, in the mind of a homeowner, like they want it to last forever, right? So I like starting with this, and then you come back to Mrs. Jones in 2 to 3 years and maybe clean it, and if she's still happy the way it looks, then add another coat of that, or if not, change to that. So the beauty of these penetrating sealers, that one over there and this one is, since it's not a film, there's no need to stripping. So basically just clean it and then do your water bead drops, and if it absorbs more, you can apply more. Okay? Make sense?
Yes.
All right.